Today we are going to discuss one research paper on 2019 elections. I found that paper very unusual and it has huge implications, and technically it is very profound. It makes use of certain statistical methods and to suggest that 2019 elections are far from free and fair. So these days we have been discussing 2024 elections and not 2019 elections. But the author shows that 2019 elections themselves are not free and fair. And he published this research paper in 2023, that is before 24 elections. But after taking much time analyzing the results, and also he makes use of different kinds of data sets in this. So let us do it in detail. This is the paper I am referring to. He is really very young. He is only an assistant professor at Ashoka University. He finished his PhD in economics from Yale University. And the title of the paper he wrote is Democratic Backsliding. Democratic backsliding in the world's largest democracy, by Sabhasachi Das in 23rd. And it created huge sensation, and BJP didn't like it, and even IB officials visited the campus to see what could be any people behind him. Unfortunately, he had to leave the university after the article. Okay. And one unusual thing about his article is that he really any independent research. What he did was he used particular data sets. Okay, what are the data sets that he used? Like this. He used parliamentary election results from 77 to 2019. Parliamentary election results from 77 to 2019. And state assembly results from 2019 to 21. They are available at Trivedi Center for Political Data at university itself. And then he used National Election Survey 2019, a post-poll voter survey conducted by the Center for Study of Developmental Societies. And it surveyed 24,000 voters across 208 parliamentary constituencies. So it was a post-poll survey and done before the result. And he also took two versions of EVM turnout data. EVM turnout data. And why are there two versions? That is votes polled and votes counted later. Okay, there is a turnout mismatch in 2024 elections, and it has been there in 2019 elections also. He took these two sets of data in the first four phases of 2019. 2019 were held in the 7 phases. But as this mismatch was noticed, ECI stopped publishing this once the discrepancy was discovered. So these are the data sets, and this parliamentary elections, national election survey, and EVM turnout data. Data regarding counting observers. Okay, data regarding counting observers. Who are these counting observers? These are counting observers we call them, these are election observers, IAS officers and state civil service officers. They go from one state to another state. So he had a data on 1741 counting observers covering 541 parliamentary constituencies. And he had data regarding whether they are IAS or state, or from BJP ruled states or not. So later he will use it as the source of partisan behavior. We will see that. And next he went by booth level results. He took the data of booth level results from state election commissions for 22 major states, covering 9 lakh booths. He has the data on absolute turnout and vote share of the BJP. And for UP, he apart from absolute turnout and vote share, he has electorate data also. So electorate data means how many people are there in the rolls, and if you have electorate data, you can measure turnout rate, that is percentage of the people who voted. So that figure is there only for UP, but not for other states. So this is one more data he used. And next, he has data on Muslim electorate share. How can one get Muslim electorate share? He says he got electoral rolls from a private firm published till 2018, that is before 2019 elections. And then he used religion prediction algorithm to see the religion of the citizens and or the voters, and then from that he will see what is the Muslim share. So Muslim share, and then booth level data, and IAS and state level officers. Like this, a king was walking naked, and only a kid said that was naked. So, to me, Sabhasachi Das was like that kid, and we'll see why I think so. Author's analysis is what is called a closed contest. Closed contest. By closed contest, he means that margin of victory is very low. Okay, margin is measured in terms of vote share difference. So, in a close contest, he found that BJP has much higher chances of winning. So he finds that unusual. In a closer contest, anybody can win. Why should BJP win in more number of seats? So what is BJP doing to win in a closer contest? Is it is campaigning effectively, or there is something else going on? So of course a party can see the contest is closed and go all out to campaign and campaign effectively. So that is one possibility. Author looks at that possibility also, and then he doesn't find one. We'll look into the details. And so he says, if BJP is doing well more than what the probability suggests in a closed contest, then that gives circumstantial evidence for rigging. This is only a kind of circumstantial evidence. Circumstantial evidence. Statistics gives only that circumstantial evidence. It doesn't explain the logic of how it is done. So let us see the evidence he puts forward. These graphs are central to his research. So let us examine them closely. See, on x-axis you have BJP win margin. Win margin is nothing but vote share difference. 0.1 win margin means vote share difference of 0.1. 0.2 win margin. You see, for these graphs, he won't use absolute numbers. He has to think in terms, he has to finally convert it in terms of percentages. So win margin keeps increasing like this. And this is minus 0.1, minus 0.2, which means this is actually where BJP lost. So BJP gain is here, BJP loss is, gain is here, BJP loss is here. Okay, so a plus value means win and minus value means a loss. So BJP win margin minus 0.1 means it lost by 0.1 vote share difference. So So x axis win margin, positive side and negative side. This is about x. And next, this is about density. Density refers to the number of seats it gets. Okay. That is, density refers to distribution of data. More data, more dense. It is like that. So now let us look at what this means. See, for the same 0.1 difference, so BJP won more seats with 0.1 difference than it lost with 0.1 difference. That is the point. It won more compared to it lost. It won more with 0.2 difference compared to it lost. It won more with 0.3 difference compared to it lost. So these are closed contests, which means in closed contests BJP is winning more. Statistically, this gap is important. This is density distribution gap. So higher the gap, higher the movement away from the random. If it is really random, this gap shouldn't be there. That is, it is at a 0.1 win margin, it is likely to win and it is equally likely to lose. Then there won't be gap. So author looks at this gap and win margin in 2019 elections. And here there is a mathematical value for this, that's called probability value. That is, in 2019 probability value is 0.03. What does this 0.03 mean? It means this kind of distribution is possible only 3% of the times. Only 3% of the times this gap is possible. So only 3% of the times this kind of outcome is possible. Only 3% of mine means this is a rare kind of a distribution. And how rare is this? Author compares with 2014 data. 2014 data, p-value is 0.74. It means 74% of the times the distribution is like this. 74% of the times, it means the density gap here is very small. So BJP gained in a way that statistically, if there is no positive or negative action from BJP side, statistically that is only 3% likely. So something is going on. That is what author concludes. But before that, he explains to us what actually, in terms of seats, what does actually this 3% mean, so that we will understand what that rarity means. And it is here he makes use of extensive data. This. The statistical value of 0.03 is a historical event. Author takes elections from 77 to 2009, and from 77 to 2009 he says this 0.03 like never existed. What are the values? Look at these values from 77 to 2019. These values are BJP, this one 0.03, 0.74, 0.39, 0.12, 0.14, 0.53, 0.2, 0.93. So 0.03 is a historical event. INC margins 0.247, like this. This is where he is taking the data from 77 to 2019. He is simply analyzing the data. So the distribution that 2019 results show is a rare kind of a distribution. So that is a historical significance. But we want to know what it means in terms of seats. So we can feel that unusualness only when we see in terms of seats. And author gives, here the author explains what is meant by winning in a closed context. What is the seat difference? Say win margin is less than 0.02. Okay, in 2019. So when BJP got 2% higher vote share, it got 20 seats. When 2% lower vote share, it lost 7. So winning 20 and losing only 7 when the margin is the same. When the winning margin is 3%, won 28 and lost only 10. When the winning margin is 0.5%, 141 and lost 18. Whereas, so this is unusual thing, unusual here. Whereas in the case of 2014, it is not so. Out of 19, 10, 9. Out of 24, 14, 10. Out of 48, 29, 40. So its success rate in close contests is very high. Then author asks, is it due to better campaigning? Of course, it can be many reasons for winning, but he looks at more specifically campaigning, and let us see what it means. This he gets from the data on NES survey. His NES survey is done after the poll and before the result, and it had questions like, did a candidate or a party worker of this party come to your house in the last month? So, party visits to the house. This is one important aspect of campaigning. And did you take part in election rally? This is another important aspect of how frequently how many election rallies are held. And then campaigning on social media. So he takes social media, election rally, and door-to-door visits. And he says, going by this, he is not talking about other variables. Going by these three dimensions of campaigning, he found in closed contests, you cannot say there is more effective campaigning in closed contests. So, which means he is saying in a closed contest, BJP success rate is very high, and this is historically unusual. And then he says it is not due to campaigning. Not due to campaigning. Remember, he is not looking at all constituencies. He is only looking at only closed contests. And so he says, if the difference is not due to campaigning, then due to manipulation. Okay, then he doesn't stop there. He looks at what kinds of manipulation possible, and can he decipher or can he throw light on the nature of manipulation. Nature of manipulation. So, this is how he proceeds. Then the author goes for the kind of possible manipulations. Here he brings up two kinds. One is deletion. Deletions that Rahul Gandhi press conference recently talked about. And second is voter turnout mismatch. Voter turnout mismatch refers to what is the turnout data they release at one time soon after the poll, and turnout data that they release after some time, that is finally at the time of counting. So, polling turnout data and counting turnout data is a turnout mismatch. So, this turnout mismatch has become very popular in 2024 elections, but the author is referring to turnout mismatch in 2019 itself. So, he works on what is the nature of deletions, and next he works on what is the nature of turnout mismatches. Okay, through these two processes, he, in a way, he identifies certain mechanisms by which close contexts are being rigged. This is an important graph related to deletions. How does the author establish deletions? He doesn't investigate like Rahul Gandhi did later. Sabhasachi Das method is statistical. So, what does this graph say? This graph, as usual, x-axis is win margin, this is win and this is lose. Okay. And deletions can be guessed from electoral growth rate between 2014 to 2019. So, there is an electorate growth, but if there are deletions, the electorate growth will be less. Okay. So, the growth is measured in terms of hike in 2019 compared to 2014. That is called growth rate, electoral growth rate. And crucial point is where the BJP is winning, growth rate is only this much. And where the BJP last growth rate is this much. It means there are growth rate differences. So, how is this growth rate difference affected? It must be deletions. This is the conclusion. So, voter roll manipulation. The constituency is barely won by BJP, this side, had a 5% smaller growth rate. This is this smaller growth rate in electorate between 2014 and 2019. Is it? Okay. So, this explains there are deletions, but then how are they deleting it? How means whom are they deleting? The author provides an answer to this question also, and the answer is this. It is Muslims who are being deleted. Muslims. How does he establish this? He says, in PCs with a higher Muslim share, the estimated fall is 6 percentage points. So, if there is higher Muslim share, fall is 6%. while there is lower Muslim share, fall is only 2%, which is statistically insignificant. So, which means in a closely contested constituencies, Muslims are being deleted, because of which electoral growth rate is less. Okay, very reasonable conclusion, because Muslims are least likely to vote for BJP. Author uses this empirical fact for statistical analysis. He has the data on Muslim vote share, and he is looking at what the BJP is doing with this Muslim vote share. This is what the author says, but independently, that is from newspapers, we know in 2019 at places Christians were deleted. For example, 45,000 voters from 48 fishing hamlets of Kanyakumari constituency were deleted. The names were there in January 2019, but not in April. So, those names were deleted just before the elections, and the deleted were mostly Christians, and currently the case is in court. So, author is making two very reasonable. Number one, there are deletions, and number two, these deletions are of minorities. And this can be seen in terms of reduced growth rate in electorate. If normal growth rate is this, because of the deletion, it will be much less. So, both are quite reasonable conclusions. Turnout mismatch is one very important dimension of manipulation, and the author observes this mismatch and works out its implications in 2019 elections. He says for 373 parliamentary constituencies covered in the first 4 phases, 64% of the PCs, the turnout was revised up, and for the rest it was revised down. So, it is not always the hike, there is sometimes up, sometimes down, which means mismatch is more than the net hike, and this has implications. And he says that largest mismatch was 57,000 plus votes in a constituency in UP. So, what does the author do with this mismatch? This graph gives a relationship between mismatch and BJP win margin. This is turnout mismatch and this is margin. This is a win and a huge mismatch here. So, this is a lower mismatch, this is a huge mismatch, which means mismatch is favorable to BJP. That is the conclusion. And there is empirical data on mismatch, different source from NewsClick. In these 3 constituencies of Bihar, votes hiked, these 2, and these votes mismatch minus. In UP plus plus. So, thousands of votes are being hiked or lowered. Okay. So, there is a correlation between mismatch and BJP success rate. This is even more evident in 2024 elections, but the author is showing the correlation in 2019 itself. Mismatch is one of the ways in which manipulation can take place. But whatever be the kind of manipulation, what BJP requires is willingness of the officers to manipulate. So, what the author does is, he makes certain assumptions and he tests those assumptions against statistical evidence. The assumptions being, between an IAS officer and a state civil service officer, state civil service officer is more pliable. One assumption, reasonable. And state civil service officers from BJP states more pliable compared to non-BJP states. Second, right? And third, these officers, go to different states. So, those who are going to BJP states, more manipulation is possible compared to those who are going to non-BJP states. So, which means if an UP state civil service officer is going to Bihar, then maximum manipulation. If UP officer is going to Tamil Nadu, less so. Okay. If Tamil Nadu is going to UP, less so compared to Gujarat man going to UP. So, he makes these reasonable assumptions and as usual tests them with the success in closed contests. So, the author equates SCS officers with pliability. Higher the SCS, higher the pliability, and so scope for manipulation. So, you will see at all margins difference between win and lose, there is a higher SCS. There is a higher SCS here, 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 here. Higher SCS unusually, which means more manipulation. It is not about SCS versus IAS. It is about SCS in win margin versus SCS in lower margin. SCS more, and that is one. But why there are 4 graphs here? Because there are 2 variables, from where they are coming to where they are going. To where they are going, BJP ruled states and non-BJP ruled state, where they are going. But where they are coming from BJP ruled states and coming from non-BJP ruled states. So they are coming from BJP ruled, non-BJP ruled, and going to BJP ruled and non-BJP ruled. That is why you have 4 graphs. But all 4 graphs show higher SCS. And next, interestingly, within these 4 graphs, you can see the differences. If they are coming from outside, if they are coming from non-BJP, then when they are going to BJP, there are more in number compared to going to non-BJP. So which means BJP ruled will want more of SCS. That's one. Next, if they are coming from BJP, they will go, BJP ruled state will have more of them, non-BJP ruled less. So of course election commission is playing a role and the states are playing a role, and finally you will see maximum density difference from BJP ruled to BJP ruled and non-BJP ruled less. So which means state level personnel are manipulated. So this shows the politicization of bureaucracy as a part of manipulation of electoral process. Now the author goes for global comparison. He wants to know how 2019 elections fare vis-a-vis free and fair elections at global level. That's an interesting exploration. To make it clear how global comparisons are made, let us see how in general people rig. Usually a ruling party at certain booths will get higher, will just simply and when it adds votes, you can call it ballot pushing. So what it does is then it will just simply vote for itself, and so the voter turnout in that booth will be more, and in that higher turnout its voter share also will be more. So one indication of rigging is how many booths have unusually higher turnouts and what is the vote share of the winning party in those unusually higher booths, higher turnout booths. And global comparisons require all these values in terms of percentages. That is, what is the electorate, what percentage of it voted, that is what is turnout rate, and within that what is the ruling party share. So you need data in terms of ratios, and the unusualness of certain booths from the normal distribution will reveal the extent of manipulation. So that is the basis. And he wants to apply it to Indian context, but he finds that he doesn't have booth level absolute electorate data for the entire India, because state election commissions have not given that. But UP has given that, and so he compares fairness of UP election vis-a-vis the elections in other countries, and the results are really shocking. This graph shows general nature of rigging. On x-axis, turnout is increasing. Turnout is increasing. When the turnout crossed when the turnout is higher, vote share increased. So which means higher turnout is not evenly distributed. Higher turnout is going to winning party, which is a usual global index of manipulation. But what is the global status of this manipulation is what is interesting. This manipulation is measured in diagram like this. These x, y may be more complicated, but what we can say is that you will see that this top one goes to Russian elections 2012. And next one is Russian elections 11. And this one is Uganda. Okay, where do you think UP will come? Our impression may be UP is far better than Russian or Ugandan, but other shows it is not. UP requires a separate map. This is what he does. It is x same, but y is 0.1 to 0.1, 0.4. Here it is only 0.25. So author draws a different graph for this, and there is a way to give a single value to this graph, and this is what the author says. When the data is applied to UP, the only state where the vote share and turnout rate at the booth level are available, I found 0.13% of booths are potentially fraudulent. 0.13% of booths. The share increases to 0.19% in PCs with BJP win margin of less than 0.08 and won by BJP. So, in close contest, this ratio is more. And kurtosis tells you how much of the variance in your data comes from extreme values. Kurtosis value for well-established democracies in Europe is 5. Russian elections in 2001 and 2012 exceeding 10. Do you know UP? 30.8. That's it. So UP elections worse than Russian elections and worse than Ugandan elections. So friends, that is the kind of elections we were having. In fact, we don't have the impression that UP elections of 2019 could have been rigged, but by global standards, that's what they are. So which shows we are in a very bad position. But unfortunately, many people are very, very keen in debating and analyzing which party will win and by how many seats, like that. It really doesn't matter which party wins when democracy is not winning. First ensure democracy wins, free and fair elections take place, and within that democratic process, one party or the other wins. Without settling the democratic process, if you are thinking in terms of which party, it means you have simply no clue to the situation the country is in and we are in. Thank you.